Alrighty, it is time that we come back to to our Project Ruieki. Right now everything looks a little bit like a mess, like a big mess, not how we used to be. And the reason for that is that we integrated our staff into the stylized landscape material. And since we switched landscape materials, we have to do some updates. Part of the updates I already have done in pre-edit by adding all the layers to the material and setting them to the weighted blend here. One heads up in 5.7, there is, if you add it with a plus, you have a non-weighted layer by default. And you have to go in here and go to from no weight blending to, well, weight blending is legacy. So I switched it to advanced weight blending for my new ones, but I kept it for the traditional stylized materials. However, I think I still have to go to the stylized material, the main one. Because we need to sort our stuff out from the row standard. So we need to go into environment, landscape, textures, not textures, materials, and the main landscape. Because we need to find all the settings here for that, and I think it's kind of blended in a little with the rest, and we need to change that. So the landscape material is here, and all our added stuff is right here, and we basically need to call this in a different way. I go for .Kuronimura. I only have to change for everyone's category to that. I have to do the same for the rock and everything. Just to make sure that we are not interfering with the values of the other dirt layer. Same here with the sand. Let's call that one beach sand. Oh, and of course we have to go for here. We have set that all in the base color. I think that's fine. But those scalar values, I still have to change those. Beach sand, extra object here is fixed. Let's call that Kuronimura grass, just to grass Kuronimura. Better that. Just so we have it different from the regular grass. And I should have actually done that before integrating, because I might have messed up sand and grass now. And I have to double check if that's the case. If that's the case, somewhere I have to rename those as well. But that's basically one where I have to do some check-ins. That's working. Let's grass color line. Dark and darker. No. Color medium. Light, medium, and dark. Then we have our most complicated one. Probably most unperforming one. Let's make it like that, and then mirror small. And once we basically have done that, we have to double check if we do not destroy anything. Because we have a lot of different things. That's theirs. Coming from there. Now let's see. Sand scale is sand. And tend to sand. Waterline. Distance in here. Sand, sand. And sand. Okay, that one does look good. How about the grass? Automatic grass, that's something else. The dirt layer. Dirt tint. Dirt. It is still dirt. Still also dirt, so fine with that one. The other ones are different. Here they put it in landscape layer samples. I have put mine in basically in material functions, and they put out a material. It's a little bit of a difference. This one is a little bit reusable. If I have another sand, I can just take this and then put everything from the other sand in there. Or if I have another grass that I want to use, I can do that. And I also always like to have, for grass, 3 variations: light, medium, and dark. That way I can have a little bit of coloring control. Cliff. Just look fine, since it was Cliff, named Cliff and not Rock. We should be fine. Now, if we're looking for all those kind of things, here's dirt Kurenai mirror, here is grass. Each stand is up here and Cliff is here. Those are the values we need to change. Especially the Cliff one. And we had a setting before, we just have to put in all those values. Which is what we have on our little window on the other side. We just put in everything from there. So Where's our... That's our grass. Grass corner. There we go. Not using the landscape grass. I have to look at the grass again. Where's my pickup mask? Where did that happen? Accidentally put it in our material function and not outside. Yeah, my bad. Not good. Have to change that. But can we? Can we change it that easily? That's the question. And no. No, we keep it. We keep it like that. No, haven't encountered the need to change that yet. We can still do that once we have that we need. It's working. Bright grass areas. That is a value of 3. Here, in the blending, we have a 0.4. And this staying contrast is at 0. Keep it at 0.2 just to see. 0.05, 0.0. This value I will copy. I kind of want to clean that up to 82. Dirt. 0.72. Breakup scale is 0.02. That's for the grass. Now we go for the dirt. And is the normal length, the cent scale. Okay, the clef. 0.5, 0.01. Noise scale 0.001. Normal intensities. And the scale. The scale is a much, much bigger one. Okay, that probably looks. this. Now for the colors. Should mostly do it for our setup to have it like it was before. Let's have a look. And the nice thing is that we have our walls here and they are quite clean. They are looking good. Now kind of first thing first I would do is I go with the dark as the center of it. You might be like, dark? That's not dark. Why is medium darker than dark? I did dark and darker. So darker is this and then I have to do something about the starting at one point, but I do that off stream. That's not interesting. It would be me pushing values the entire time. Reloading this? No, I should have the right, yeah, now I have the right preview. So now I'm not painting it. Why is that? Let's save. I think we probably have to restart the engine. I think there has been a hiccup, but you can see as to what we need to do now. I'm doing okay. I'm just have a lot to integrate and change. I right now we're in I do use a different landscape material than the one I did right now, so we have to kind of repaint the areas a little. So I want to see if after the saving I can paint again, otherwise I restart the engine, which will then take a while. Not again, but oh well. The things you do to make perfos and stuff there, doing the right checks, the revision control work. But basically, I integrated my materials that I created into the main material of the other ones. And now everything has to be basically be redone. It's the downside of it. It is what it is. In some manners, we have to be a little bit more tricky. Thinking about where was what again, where were paths, connecting those first and in a way that it makes sense, and connecting the layers of it. Let's see if I can actually draw again. Still doesn't let me draw for whatever reason. Okay, then save the selected. Let's go to this then. Alright, we have to now restart the engine. We wait a little. Time to sometimes stuff like that, especially when you make really big changes, regardless of the engine, regardless of if it's Unreal Engine, regardless of if it's Unity or Godot. If you make big changes, it can sometimes be the case that it lacks in getting. If you do a lot of changes at the same time, it can be that it has problems catching up. That's just a typical engine thing. Happens with any engine, especially 3D. And I did do a lot of changes and changed an entire landscape material. And landscape materials are huge. But yeah, how are you doing, Petunia? Hope things are going well for you. For painting the textures, in that case, I used Substance Designer. Because Substance Designer is really great to have like repeatable textures. By repeatable, I mean that the edges of the texture flow into each other. So that way you can always have a repeatable system going on and not have suddenly some weird artifacts at the edges. Substance Design is really great in doing that. That and trim sheets are also really well and easily done in Substance Designer. So basically for environment work, for environment textures, I like to use Substance Designer. For a character, I prefer either Usu Paint, the Usu Paint add-on in Blender, or Substance Painter. It really depends on how much of a detail's getting into it. There's one Blender add-on that is supposed to be like Substance Painter, but I haven't had a look at it. And also the newest version of Substance Painter is very intriguing for me. I never used Affinity for texturing.
Adlings are invading the void for 90
Never.
seconds.
It's I saw how people do it in Affinity. I thought it was a pain. That's how people do it with Photoshop as well. I think it's a pain in the ass. um, I mean, you can do it when you are going for realism and you take a photo of grass on your feet, let's say, and then you put it there. If I would work in realism, I would use affinity and stuff, yes. But I like to work in stylization. Then the thing that is very different from realism in stylization is you have to art direct more. For realism, you just have to find something that fits your needs. But for stylization, as the name says, it's stylizing. You have to really go and art direct. There are a lot of things you have to decide on. There are other technical difficulties that come with the challenge of realism that you have to look out for, especially when you go for mega scans. And yeah, there are very unique problems for that challenge. Though when it comes down to what I like to do and for what is needed for the project, it's art directing, and art directing you have to paint things manually. More often than not, you have to take um yeah, you have to really paint things manually. You can go and take a real life image and then just put it through a Kurohara filter. Though my honest opinion on that would be it looks ugly as fuck. it does it just it hits the uncanny valley, I would say. Can I now paint? Do you allow me to paint? Why do you not suddenly not allow me to paint anymore? Oh. Oh no. Wait, why is that then there? If I have this region should be loaded. Now I should be. Can I suddenly not? Tool strength is 1. And especially. Oh, and am on the right layer. Is it the water layer? Do I even have to? I have to look into that, but for now, the painting works. Is it the water layer? What's the other one? Why is it just called layer? Did I accident? I think I accidentally clicked that one and can delete that one, but I want to be cautious. And I want my brush to be smaller. The reason why I want it to be smaller, because I probably painted green in here. Did not. Oof, wow, wow, whoa, 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 whoa. Why does it look? Have to do a few fixes there as well, even though the player does not ever gets down there. I like that to be a little bit more semi-transparent. So you actually can see a little bit of that stuff, and you can see it from here. You can see the spike right here. I kind of, if I want to have spikes there, I'd rather put down an actual asset there and not have the landscape be that spiky. Oh, that looks more controlled, looks in the end better. Here it's actually, here it could be okay. But for that, I want to kind of have that narrated in that one. And I have to look into the grass spawning later. So there's a few things that we have to add it to the material as well. But especially here, I think I will change a lot here because it kind of looks weird. But that's because I have an auto material now. So what the auto material does is basically it looks for the slope. And if the slope is in a specific range, then it puts the rock material there. And for everything else, it puts whatever you paint. Downside, I can only have one rocks, one type of rock. Unless I find a way to fix that as well, to make it react to if I am now, say, I am suddenly in a desert and I want red rocks. I probably would then need to either I have another map that has a different material then, or I just continue. I have to really read into more of how everything is used, but basically the base is that we have it like this, and the other pro side is have this the edges being quite clean. Oh yeah, and this is how my grass texture looks like. Currently, the grass texture is 4K. Yes. Yes, grass will be spawned on there. I have to look exactly where in the material it does that. Though I did not want to activate it automatically directly, because that would kind of disturb the way I paint. Like if I take one of their assets where that is already activated, I can go here. Now it's a little bit laggy, as you can tell. But the reason it's laggy is because they already spawned the grass, as you can see here. And that's their grass texture. You can see as to why I'm taking my own. Like, this is a good grass texture on top of it, actually. Is it? Interesting. That's probably because that one is legacy. I have to look into that as well. But they are on the weight painting blending legacy. I probably have to change all of them to the advanced weight blend as well. It's just a thing that this material is set for, yeah, okay, yeah, it's blending over it. Yeah, so you can see you have very different modes. I kind of want to go back till I don't have that anymore, and then decide from there. There are a few things that changed in 5.7, and Legacy and the newer rate blend, they are not compatible. That's why we had this weird effect going on. But what that material has, which I like a lot, which I can show here. I love that they added it because I wasn't aware you can actually do that. Is here the layer hide. This texture that they put in here, this little gray mask, is causing that the edges look more like this and not completely pixelated. Because that was a really big issue for me on the other end, on my stuff, and I'm really glad that they added that. Because it makes, yeah, it just looks cleaner. This looks way better than what we had. I think for the rest, can't a little bit for this big land. Can make the brush size bigger, even bigger. Yeah, I think this is good. So the first thing is that I will do is that I will paint everything in those colors, and then I will use the other blend modes here, the medium and last light, to break it up a little bit more. So it's not just this. This is already broken up by a little by all of the dirt patches there. However, I kind of want to add a little bit more variations to everything, so that we have maybe, like, this is like very, very, very lush grass in the end when it comes down to it. But when you go, may have areas where it's hotter or there's less sun, and then you want to have the grass to be a little bit lighter, stuff like that. That's why I did make little differences on my masks. My mask is, by the way, a gray mask, and I add the color to it. So You look here, I have my colors. This is the darkest grass color, the lightest grass color, and I can basically control it like that. And right now, everything down here is supposed to be blend, so as long as I'm not touching it with the circle here, I should be fine. I think I touched it though. Down here. No, I did not. Okay. Good. Yeah, that way we can then have one manual thing, make that work first for this situation, and then decide later on, like, maybe a little bit of a lighter situation of grass there, here and there, maybe even having a little bit something of a perlin noise that we used as a brush to have little spots. Right now, we want to have the main island and those islands being taken care of so everything looks good again. And once we have done that, if we have like the main structure of where is dirt, where is only where's grass, where's only dirt, where is a road. Once we have taken care of all of that, it will take a while. As you can see, we can only brush that much, and I take care of the. Don't wonder about that stuff. By the way, this is when you this stuff you cannot really prevent. This is why you usually, when you make a world like this, you have something circling and basically hiding this kind of stuff. So you have a little bit more terrain than you need in order to hide that kind of stuff from happening. This basically is happening because this is where 0 is. Everything beneath 0 is having that. I needed to go below 0 to make everything work here. Otherwise, I could not have a mountain as big as that. Not with terrain. I would have to do all of that just with acids and acids only. And at the time, I needed something that was more quicker to prototype, to look around and test things out, what looks nice, what looks not nice. Set dress it basically with the terrain really fast and quick. Because I only had a few weeks to, as a set deadline, to make this work. So I had to work smart but not hard, and then I came up with doing it like that. But this is kind of like the downside. But if you do the camera right, you will never see that. Good. Here we will come back here with a way bigger brush, but I want to take care of all the literally edge cases. It's getting a little bit trickier. I will have to change. I think I will at one point make a PCG texturing kind of thing if it allows me to do it. Yeah, we'll retouch that later, but first I want to have like a little bit of a chore here. That's already looking really more. It was too much. Yeah, there I have to come back with a smaller brush and actually let's smaller brush here. Let's that kind of stuff that will be here. Do a correction with sand later again. It does work. But yes, the more I put in the green grass again, the more idyllic the area looks again. I will have to be really rough. Come on. And let's go big again. Let's put this. Oh, that's too. Do this first, really rough. We will retouch the water. This again. I have to figure out why like that. I think now I can see where everything is roughed up, where I have to smooth things out a little. Because that was kind of clear there that there's a little bit more of a rough value and I need smaller values. Here's like a really, this looks like this because there's a strong value shift and I have to smooth that out landscape wise. Once we have everything ready here, that end. I have to find out a texturing solution for that problem. I have to really, maybe I spawn multiples on top of each other instead of scaling them. I think that's what I pretty much have to do here. Because having it this much stretched, I mean, here it still works a little bit well, but here it's really chaotic on the smaller edges. And I don't like that. On the other hand, it doesn't do the PCG correctly, but so I have to properly put it down again anew. I think it didn't do the updates quite well. I think there's something in the cache still. It prevents it to do what we set it up to do. All the fixes that we did are suddenly not there anymore. I think there's a hiccup with the cache of that thing. But the nice thing about this right here, right now, that we have all the other material, some of the other materials like snow, taken care of for us. So we maybe we might be able to upgrade the entire mountain there a little. Maybe we add a little bit snow to it, or at least lighter grass. But once we are done here, we can then also paint more different areas and be like planning, be able to add more diverse areas. This is like Kuranamura. This is like one part of the entirety. Oh, I kind of like what it does here. Those little small ledges. Yeah, they're by accident, but I never really saw them with my old way of things. Now now that I see it, it's a happy little accident. I love when that happens. I love when you can be like a little bit like Bob Ross and be like, oh, happy little accident. Not what I wanted, but it really looks good. I keep it. And everything is about basically, if you do something like a world, even there, you kind of want to just say, be free. Don't expect everything to turn out the very. I mean, if you have, of course, a concept art image, you have to be as close as possible to that as you can. However, if you have your own art that you just be able to fiddle around with, be happy. Just do the Bob Ross way. Experiment. Try things out. Let things happen. Because the greatest art pieces that I know have one thing in common. Unexpected stuff happened that they decided to keep because it improved the art by a lot. Definitely have to come back to that ledge at one point and break that up more. It's way too round at some examples. But I can break that up with, I think, some of the assets. Okay, now that we have that, now we can go big. Could actually go even bigger. Do twice the size. Yes. I cannot really go even bigger, but I could go even bigger, but I restrain myself from it because I already see the engine struggling. Having that much of a big brush. It looks small, but don't underestimate how big of an area this is. This is fucking huge. Can spend probably
Adlings are invading
multiple
Ukraine for 90
hours
seconds.
just discovering this area right here, just in this frame. Or maybe even here, just in that. So it is a big area. It is a big area that needs to be filled. Not everything needs to be filled because you cannot go everywhere. It's open world, but it's not Genshin open world that you can traverse and climb everywhere. I refrain from doing so because that makes stuff only more complicated for me. And I have to do cut-ups somewhere. I'm just one person. For that, I would need a team of at least 10 in order to pull that off. I have to be realistic. I know I can make a open world happen, but I have to restrict myself. I cannot make the next Genshin or something like that, or the next Wuthering Waves, Do It Night Abyss, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you take as an example of an open world, or let's take Assassin's Creed or something. You have to limit yourself. Oh, like this little area here, this little green spot there, and it gives me already an idea. Hey, I could put a little cave. And so, with those things in mind, you also can get new ideas on how to build the world. There will be, at one point, there will be remnants of the old era, which means this is a remnant of the old era. As I can see, it's to our current time. We are the old era, so to say, part of it at least. We are a civilization lost in the war. It's basically half of the plot then. Stuff that will remind you to real world, and it looks like, yeah, it's the old era that got lost in the war between magic and technology. And yeah, that's one part of it. Do I do it this way or do I do it that way? Let's do that way first. Let's do this. Big, medium, small. Let's work that way first. Big, all of this is getting filled. Medium and small, we have to take care of the beach, of the riversides, benches and stuff. Looking okay again. Medium, definitely. The area here for the rice plants. But big, medium, small. That's always a thing you should consider as an artist. Do the big things first, then do the medium, and then the small ones. For a landscape, even the small one, even the small stuff is quite big still. As you can see. Actually, let's go twice the size again. First, all this painting comes. This is basically the the hard part, right? I could have done it the other way around. That I say I fill everything with green and then like I fill everything with this grass and then paint everything where is sand. I did not do that because when I continue to add landscape, I want to be the sand to be the default it returns to. So that when I have like an ocean thing like this, it automatically has this, my sand texture. If I not, the sand down there would all be green and I would have to touch that the entire time, even though I cannot see it through the water. As well as I can see everything here. That's why I picked the sand as the fill layer. But yeah, I'm really undecisive at one point. If I want the filling of grass be done by the material or by PCG. PCG would mean I have a little bit more control. I could add, even on grass like this, I could add layers where I say no. Here, you're not spawning grass. Here, you're spawning flowers or even nothing. Saying that this is all trampled grass. There's nothing in there anymore. Could kind of do that kind of stuff if I use PCG. Plus, I can probably go with the value that is entered. Like if I go to the landscape data, you see how I am working with the fall off here. So the fall off will have a different value of it. This kind of stuff will have maybe a value of 0.75 or so. And I can react to that and be like, no, only spawn stuff and a layer that is. Ooh, why is that looking like that? It's kind of ugly. Fine tuning. This will be fine tuning. We have to kind of look at slopes like this and other slopes. To find a basis. I kind of think that a slope like that should still have greenery. But could kind of mess up. I kind of think only really high slope values should be the ones where I basically go and have my rock. Come on, here I go the same way. I just go through the river. Basically, we have grass now in the river. Not ideal, but that's where I go and clean things up with my sand brush then. Same with the river borders and stuff. Just so we are a little bit faster in the development here. Ew, I have a nasty tinnitus over all of a sudden. I don't even have any sound on. Where did that come from? Fuck. It will go away, as usual. I have it every now and then. Very unpleasant noise. At one point, I really have to look into some sort of playlist that I can utilize for streams like this. What I am not being demonetized for. That's the reason I'm not playing music right now. Because I don't want to be demonetized. I don't want to look into it. I also don't want to do. I mean, there's a workaround where you basically can say, like, okay, you do another another sound layer and put the music on there. That's a pretty much gray area, because then yeah, that thing gets muted. You still can get demonetized. So people that would bring that argument now, no, just no. I won't do that. Too much of a gray area to be like, okay, yeah, I do it now, and then in 2 months or so, they decide that that is not okay again, and then it's really the thing where you know that can change too quickly, way too quickly. And then all the effort you put in there, even though it's not much of an effort, is for naught. Make that stuff green. One tool that would be really nice to have as terrain texturing would be nice if you could draw a polygon, and as soon as you close the polygon, everything inside there, like a lasso tool, kinda, everything in there gets then to that texture. I can see why we do not have that, because that's a lot of computing power, especially with materials like this. It probably easily causes crashes, because we are not talking plain color. Like in the all of the drawing surface, you can do that easily because everything is plain color. It's just a little bit of a bit value. Here, it's much more complicated than that. I think one thing is missing in the material that I have in material. I have to double check. I don't see it happening. Or is it happening here? Never mind, it's happening. Never mind, they have it. What this is that I was looking at is fake clouds. So You have fake cloud shadows on a terrain. You would see all the clouds here moving. Okay, it's a little bit not that great to see here. It was easier to see on the brighter one. But if you look up, there's no cloud. But the clouds are there and stuff. This is what a lot of games utilize. They basically fake the impression of that clouds are even there. Okay. Let's see. Everything is looking. Everything is looking good here. I can see. See if I have overlooked at one point that is supposed to be still sand. That's a dog. Good here. I think I can switch over to the sand material and fix everything on the rivers and whatever mess we created down here. And the next thing that I would do after that would be the pathway and the. Oh, I think before I do the river, I do the more obvious thing. Because river I would consider still rather. Yeah, I would consider it rather I'm not replaying. Thank you. Sure, what? Yeah, I definitely should, especially when I talk as much as I did in that last hour. Why? Let me make it a little test here. There it works. Okay. Tell me I have to activate it that it is subtractive. The new advanced weight blend mode definitely works a little bit differently than what I'm used to. Now we have to a little bit to wait because the autosave is taking place. And it might not look like it, but we changed a lot of assets. And by that, we changed 90 tiles, no, not 90 chunks of terrain. Those are currently all saving, and all the assets that are on top of it. Hey, there it works perfectly, but why is the grass? They're ruling? Why does the grass have more dominance over everything And why do I... Huh? Why do I create stuff like this? Do I have any more settings here? A blend group. Is there a difference to my grass layer? Dark. No, they are the very same thing. The debug color for layers now. Behaving like that. I'm not used to that. I don't understand. Grass is here. It feels like it's what is happening if I take it away again. Oh, could it be? What's happening? I can probably the fill layer. Everything black now. The fuck is happening now? Let me put it away back. Undo delete layer. Something broke. Something broke very, very badly. I don't know why that is happening, but we just use our beach sand here and then take care of this. In order to do it accordingly. Always, let's check always like this. might be maybe even visual. Not quite a visual bug. Still there. Is what it is. We have to deal with it. I have to figure out later why it is. Right now, what I like to do for like sandy short like this, give it a little bit of a wavy pattern. Like some parts are more, some less, but water's rising and falling. Kinda, kinda wanted to be in the midsection of it. So I kind of want to have a lot of sand at the coastal line so that it tells you, yeah, it touched this point at one point during maybe a heavy storm and such. But just that you kind of am not just having grass inside the water, such probably will happen if I have it like this and it's layering it on top of each other instead of replacing. We might later on when we add the grass to it, we might have a bad awakening and suddenly have grass being right there. I really have to look into it, but that's kind of what I would expect from, well, how things looked. Ooh, this has a nice touch to it. Happy little accidents. But yeah, even here, if I am fully realistic, I would not have sand here. I would have mud, because that's basically what that's basically what bamboo is growing on. They are not growing on sand. I have it though, because kinda still tells a nice story. It looks good. It tells a good story. It's believable. Yeah, normally you would have more muddy area, more something like this. This is what you normally would have around. Yeah, around bamboo in total.
Adlings are invading the void for 90 seconds.
And yeah, all of that bamboo gets replaced with the other. But for now, it stays. Here it's okay. That's believable. But right here, maybe I push it a little bit like this. Maybe just a little bit like that. But yeah, technically, if I really go how things grow in real life, I would need to change everything here to a mud area, not a sandy area. So everything would have mud color. Interesting. What happened there? I mean, this is my decal for damage. Why is it probably rendering bug? It's probably if I put it down again later. Probably looks different then. Because what it normally does is it adds parallax occlusion, so it looks like it bends in, but it's on top of the texture. Shouldn't have that greenish looking thing. It should not be what's happening. Here I need to turn off the water again to see clearly as to where everything where there is bamboo already, and I know that there is water. Now I have to take it. Man, like here, I definitely want to more like this, more in a wavy pattern. We're slowly continuing like that, going from one area to the next. A little bit. If you ever want to do something relaxing, this is really relaxing. This is like one of those oddly satisfying things to deal with. This is where your mind can wander places. You just can go with the flow. Whatever that means for you. For me, the flow might look different than it looks for you. And I definitely do not mean that in a Zen way or anything like that. I just mean I like the relaxing, having something where you, if you are stressed, this probably helps getting the stress off. Get rid of the bamboo because that kinda did occlude my vision a little too much. I couldn't see quite well. It does look okay. I think I leave it like that. Here, of course, not. And same as here. And things are getting easier to read without the bamboo being visible. And now we also see better that we had an overlook here. Let's take care of that in a bit. Kind of like maybe like that. That looks better. As you can see, I'm just going a little bit of a wavy pad movement here, so it's not too static, not too... how should I put it? It's not... Yeah, static is probably the best word to say. It's not one clean line. It's... nature does not work in the ways that everything is drawn with a ruler. Here we have to do a little bit. So let's change to and oh, and we completely forgot about that island. Let me take care of that. First we go complete and then we take away. Oh, interesting. And if I want to put it back here, just can't. I wonder why. Why is that? So weird. Apparently, lucky for us for right now, the sand layer is stronger than the grass layer. So it's bad that we cannot replace it like I used to be, but like right here, like this is a good example why I do the wavy pattern, because this is kind of like drawn like with a ruler. We have to break up that a little. That's why the wavy pattern helps it to look a little bit more on the believable side. Want to... yeah, I need to be a little bit more cautious because I kind of do want to keep that. Or not that. Really have to look into it in a bit. I assume we will probably not be able to draw the road. We'll try. Probably won't let us. Therefore, we have to find out why that is and fix it. Like that. That looks good. Okay, next one here. Let me turn off for a bit, just to double check. This one. And here we pretty much already can see. This should not be. We probably need a little smaller brush because I think it's okay to be there. Yeah, it's okay to be there because that is way above the water level. That can be great. We just need a small brush. There's probably a hotkey for that. I haven't figured out which one it is. Not B. Not like in Blender that it is B or R. But that way we can take care of those little water areas around here, making it a little. And looking at now, making it look nicer. And we slowly work our way all the way up the mountain. And then we see about the road. And whatever we can. Oh, and we have to look into it for a different reason as well, because our dirt is not working. Our dirt layer is somewhere beneath our beneath our grass layer. Kind of disturbing. That does look good. So either way, we have to look into it. Why did it change so goddamn much? We have those weird effects even happening in the first place. For the rest, we can go a little bit bigger. More of a painterly approach. This is all things you need to do if you do a world like this. You are more into the, let's say, vortex kind of worlds where everything is cubic. And you definitely don't have to do that because you probably have your tiles that you then create with PC that you can just use PCG for to make it a little bit more variant and stuff. You have less of a painterly approach. The art, get me wrong. Don't think that I mean by that it's less art or anything. No, it's just very different approach. More is more on the PCG is more on the technical side. This is more on the artsy side. This is painting, literally. And to be honest, to be fucking honest, it feels refreshing to doing this right here again. As the past streams were all tech savvy. We're all either PCG or working with the blueprints. Were a lot of technical things, less of art things. Or maybe the texture that we did for our road and everything. That was a little bit mix of both, though. It's always when you do more of a generalist work, you have sometimes phases where you do more of one or the other. Sometimes it's more modeling, sometimes it's more texturing, sometimes it's painting environments like this. Or sometimes it's PCG. That's the generalist for you. Yeah, I did that today as well. It took away quite a bunch of time that I wanted to spend on stuff here. I wanted to have more stuff prepared, basically, for the stream. Now I have to do those things a little bit on stream. That's probably, I hope it's not too bad, not too boring. I mean, after all, this is all about giving insight of the works in different fields. In game development, even if this entire project should never see the end of the line, even if that should really be the thing, which I am working on, that is never the case. But even if someone would badmouth it and be like, oh no, you will never finish it, even under that current consideration, that's not the point of the stream. Point of the stream is that I work on stuff, people can ask me questions, and that I make all this rather gate-kept, a lot of information you can find on YouTube, sure. But a lot of the information that you have about how the industry is, what actually is the work, how does actually a pipeline look like, how you learn maybe how to model, And then you think, oh, modeling is so cool. And then you see suddenly how it is in the industry and how a lot of things are maybe even better than you expected. Or you see, like, I expected to have more creativity. I did not expect to, let's say, the worst part that could happen that you have for a year to, you do nothing but making stones. That can happen. So I'm pretty sure if you end up making stones and only stones for a year, you failed at communicating. Because you can address that you would like to have more. It's no shame, or nobody will bite your head off when you ask, like, hey, can I do something else than stones? Like, when you be like, I kind of am tired of making that. Can you put me into something that can I can challenge myself more? And then maybe they are like, okay, you can do it immediately, something different. Or they are like, yeah, but we really need those stones first. And then we see where we can put you otherwise, what kind of assets we can give you. Because the reality is there's a lot to be done. And if you do not speak up, you keep it small, chances are that they treat you as a expert of stones because nobody can do stones as well as you can. Right? And then you do stones for that specific reason the entire time. Chances are that's the case. And some people are loving that. They are thriving to do one thing and one thing only, becoming the best of the best in that. I couldn't. I say it straightforward. I could never. I have really a trouble with monotone. Yeah, basically, really monotone stuff. Monotonistic is the death of me. It kills my motivation so fast if I have to do one and the only thing over and over again. And I mean, really, exactly the same thing. Stones would be a good example of that kind, even though stones are very versatile. You can have a cubic stone, you can have a triangular stone, you can have completely round stones like the pebbles. Stones are, if someone says make a stone, first question is what kind of stone? It's a very, very. If it's like someone saying make a flower. You can make a daisy, you can make a rose, you can make a Venus flytrap, you can make a lily. Like, you can make a water lily, you can make a spider lily. It doesn't stop there. It's a very vague term where I'm often seeing like people treat it as a very definite thing, as if there is no other way to interpret it, the word stone. But it's definitely on a point where no. What I see as a stone is definitely not what you have in mind. It's getting more precise when you go to creatures and be like, make a wolf. As there are different kinds of wolves, but the anatomy of the wolf is a wolf. And between the races of wolves, there are slight differences in anatomy. But you will have to be really an expert on that kind of stuff to even spot those differences. Who can tell out of their head what the anatomical difference between a black and a white wolf is? Probably no one. Probably almost no one. Let's say that. Most people would probably say, like, okay, the color of the fur. And to make it believable, that's all you have to do. Make a wolf and then have it be on that kind of. And I think I will raise the landscape here a little. Get rid of those artifacts. Definitely what I need to do. And I also have to do it here, as we can see. So I have to go with the flattening brush. Starting to look, and we go through that chart, and then we remove the water again, and then fill everything with a bigger brush. Here it's kind of like better to work from small to big, as the small stuff can basically help making an outline. So it helps to depict where things are. And you can use that information to work with the bigger one in. Yeah. So it's not like a holy grail answer, but it is. Medium to small is a good general approach. Not like it's always the best. Like in this case, small to medium. This is not a big. This right here is not big. That's still
Adlings are
medium.
invading the void for 90 seconds.
That's still medium. Now I can take this and get rid everything in here with a bigger brush. do it for that area. Almost done there. But before I had more up to the mountain, and I want to make sure that I've treated to the water problem. I think go to selection in here. We can kind of see the problem approaching. Flatten. Damn it. Other way around. All like that, yeah. All less cut off, like it was before. Here we have that problem though. Still. This actually looks better. Like that. Now that we have that. We're still on sand. Yes. I see that this is a little bit too straight. Break it up like that. Here a little. Do. And this should. Yeah, that looking better. That's a little bit too much. There. And okay, now we can go upwards. And look into the mess while that is here. Um, Oh, never mind. Illusion. Thought it was cut off right here, but it doesn't seem to be the case. That was just an illusion. Yeah, you can see how something as simple as this can easily eat away in hours. Off to double check because we still have stains here that we do not want. Another one. Let's look at the stain. There's also a stain. That little patch there has something, I don't know, kind of romantic. Uh, we do have a problem here we have to take care of, and I take care of it first. And we have a little bit more of a steep that, and then we use that already as a alone. Like the look of that. I kind of want to have a mix of both. Then let's move out that stuff. That looks good. It's moving, so it's not as eruptive then. That actually does look good. Now I can go back to paint. And my grass dark still cannot. Here's what I would like to draw back, and I have to figure out why we can't. Let's check for the road first. Be the next thing after this, because this is where everything starts from the water. It looks good. And it looks really, really good. Here. Looks better than I expected, actually, even. The only thing is that I want to remove sand here, but cannot for whatever reason. And here I want to down. That's okay. That's okay. Here. It's a little bit more like that. Here it's clear. Need a little. That's okay. Okay. Yeah, that does look good. Let's see if we can paint the path or not. Let's start right here, rocky road. Can we? Can we not? We can. Okay. I just think a little bit too big of a brush I took. Let's go with that size. That looks better. So I want the path to run a little bit around here. Will be one road going here. That's one part. Definitely want to have one path here. Yes, yes, yes. You mean like in water plants, that kind of vegetation, right? Like little algae, stuff like that. Now it's important that we turn back on the bamboo. Something is happening there. Not really tell what. Makes it look so scuffed. Is it changing or is it everywhere? Aha, okay. As soon as I touch it, it does the thing that it is supposed to do. This is how it's supposed to work. Damage decal should be looking, it could be looking better, but that's the best result I could get out of it. Now for that needs to be well. Can be a little bit and want it straight in there at the house, but not for the rest. It can have a little bit of as well. A little bit. It looks a little bit more there. And now for this path. No, that's sure. There's main path. Till out here, and then open to continue whatever we will put in there. That path, and we have to take care of this path. Some brush. Yep, that could work for that. Not too happy, but we have to kind of leave it at this. Cannot take away here. Cannot put that one down either, right? Oh, I can. At least to a point. Not really doing much. disturbing. I really have to figure that out because technically, let's work with the technically for now. All of this needs to be brown. Doesn't really do it. I don't know why. But at least this is good and for now good enough. Not the dirt that we want because it doesn't fully put it in there, but it is. It is somewhat there. We can at least put it to a point where it is visibly different. That's what I mostly care about when I have this. Take the water away there at one point. Double check for open areas that we haven't touched. Those. It looks at least like a more muddier area. So I have to just grow fine with it for now. That's where our little plants are. It is looking good so far for that. That's looking good for that. Put that one. Actually, it would make sense to have that connection. Rather like here, and then we do another spline that has a path. We actually can grow that way. Follow that one with the spline. Then we can utilize PCG. All of that. Then we can get rid of that bamboo there, put our PCG bamboo area in there, upgrade everything, having it look better, nicer. I just go down till the other main path will collide here. Nothing else. And then can do that. Same stuff we can do then there. That end. Have our little areas. This is just a preparation for that. Now we can have a look into our opponent again and look for the grass. That the grass spawns first. Because now the main work is basically done. We only have to put the autofill But we have to wait for it to save. We've changed again a lot of assets. 160. One point I really have to look for a setup that is less straining. So that at least something like stream avatars and VTube Studio, that those can run smoothly. While we wait for everything else that stresses. But that's stuff for the